Welcome to the Sovereign Goddess podcast, authentic soul sessions with modern medicine women and goddesspreneurs alike to empower and support the sovereign goddess as she builds her queendom with grace. We are gathered here to support you as you embark on the journey to honor all facets of the human experience. It's my great pleasure to be with you today. I'm your host, Sabrina Riccio, Solistic Alchemist and Visionary behind Shamanessa Goddessa. As we embark on this vulnerable and authentic spiritual journey together, we are gathered here to recognize our divinity and radiate our truth. We are here to be the light we wish to see in the world. I invite you to relax, grab a cup of tea, clear the air and say a prayer with some plant medicines, and join us in our sacred ceremony. Deep bow, sister, for embarking on this beautiful journey with us. Now let's get started and allow the miracles to unfold. How's it going? I'm back. Welcome to this episode of the Sovereign Goddess podcast, authentic conversations with medicine women and goddesspreneurs alike, inspiring you to build your queendom with grace. I'm your host, Sabrina Riccio, and I'm back. It's been a while, but to be honest, I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. I had to be able to listen to my intuition and kind of disconnect for a while. And so one Sunday, I decided to book a trip to Costa Rica. And then 4 days later, I'm at this beautiful retreat center helping out my sister and friend, Sahara Rose and Arazuke, on their Movement as Medicine retreat. And I offered some sound healing and was kind of like the unofficial third leader of the pack, really helping the other girls and offering what I can to really support this beautiful transformation we all really witnessed. I'm really excited to be back. I also needed to fill up my cup, and I slept on the jungle floor for 3 days, partying till sunrise at Envision Festival, which is this music and yoga festival in the middle of the jungle. And that experience in itself was a lot of the medicine I needed. My history and my background comes a lot from music festivals, as some of you may know. If you don't know, I had my own company, started back in 2011. It was called Peace Love EDM, and I was a music journalist then. But I had to stop because it was evident to me that being on the path of music journalism was not my path. It taught me a lot. It really was a major catalyst for me to be who I am today. And when I used to interview DJs, I learned a lot about how I wanted to conduct interviews. And actually that experience is what really inspired me to start this podcast up and allow myself to just speak and present incredible women and even share my story a little bit to really inspire you and to help you realize that you're not alone on this journey. And you have every right to reclaim your sovereignty and to allow yourself to live the life far beyond your wildest dreams. And so I'm back. I'm feeling refreshed, and I'm actually back with some gnarly bites. I have this crazy spider bite on my butt right now, and I'm doing what I can to extract the poison out. I'm pretty sure I got it when I was sleeping, and shit happens when you party naked, man. That's all I gotta say. I'm doing my best to avoid doing antibiotics because of I'm working on healing my candida and releasing that, as well as I'm refusing to take steroids. If I do not take steroids, I really don't want to be taking them. So blessings to my dear friend Sarah Petruna for helping me out, and she helped me come up with this nice little concoction to put on my butt. I've activated charcoal and oil of oregano and echinacea extract to really help extract out this poison. But yeah, I think this had to happen because there was some deep medicine in this spider medicine, and kind of like Spider-Man in a way, but I'm like the Jane, Mary Jane. So I have no idea where this episode is going to take us. All I know is that what this retreat really helped me understand is to really allow myself to flow in my feminine and to really surrender my desire to control, and to learn to trust the process and to honor the journey. Honor the journey, trust the process is the phrase that it's posted on my Instagram, and I write about it a lot because it's really all that we have. We have to learn to trust this process and understand that all of this is divinely guided. So I really wanted to get back on this new episode, and this episode number 11, these pillars of light, with full authenticity and spontaneity. I have no idea where this is taking us, but what I did here was to share with you some spider medicine and some butterfly medicine, because those were the two predominant medicines that I was faced with during my almost 2 weeks in Costa Rica. And I got back Tuesday at like 1:30 in the morning, and I've just been doing my best to really integrate and coming up with some ideas and allowing myself to just download where Spirit wants to take me to help support you. Because the biggest thing that I'm really hearing is that I don't want to be having followers. I want to help create leaders, because we all need leaders right now, and we lead not from the ego, but we need to lead from our hearts. And to lead from the hearts means we need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and real and authentic. And there's been a lot coming up for me right now, and I'm really working on healing a lot of shame and honoring my past and recognizing how all of this has been perfect, and how there's, all this is the perfect imperfections. And, yesterday was Ash Wednesday, in the Catholic religion, and being born and raised Catholic. Well, I don't think I was born Catholic, but I was brought up Catholic because my parents chose my religion for me as a child. And as I've, discovered my own sense of self-discovery and was this close to becoming a religious studies minor in college, I've really seen the beauty of all religions, and it's something I'm really passionate about. So while my roots are in Catholicism, I don't like to say that is my religion, because I feel like my religion is far deeper than a dogmatic, patriarchal, belief system. While there's still parts of it that I do honor and recognize, like I also honor and recognize a lot of other beautiful religions. And what I'm really hearing right now is stopping and healing this belief of separation from one another, separation from God, separation from our divinity, separation from our truth. And we just have to this is a time for us to really come together and to help support one another. So I wanted just to start off with some little insights about spider medicine, and because I want to start there, because the spider bite on my butt is real right now. And there's a reason for everything, this is all part of the process. So about 8 weeks ago, I wrote about spider medicine, and at the beginning of this 2017, and right now as we're about to embark on spring, this is the time for us to really plant the seeds. And, we're finally coming out of the dark, because holy shit, this whole fall and winter was very challenging. I know not just for me, but for a lot of us. We're seeing a lot of political uproar, and we're seeing the patriarchy trying what it can to really grasp the last of its power, as we allow this more balanced divine masculine, divine feminine essence within us and within the world. And we're seeing this rise of the feminine and this beautiful rebirthing happening as we also heal our inner masculine. And growing up super masculine, I'm a Gemini, so it's I'm literally the epitome of the masculine. And I want to talk a little bit about my story and that shame too, that I'm really working on healing. And this download that I got today was just holy shit, is probably the most vulnerable writing piece I've ever written about myself and my journey. And if it comes out at this podcast, great. If not, you're going to have to stay tuned because, again, like all of this is being divinely guided, and I've allowed Spirit to take the lead on this podcast episode because I didn't want to have control, and I didn't want to really put a limit as to where this message needs to go today. With this eclipse season, just finishing up, and a lot of people had a really difficult new moon, but for me, it was celebratory. I was partying and, dancing till 5 o'clock in the morning and then taking a shuttle at 6 a.m. to like one of my favorite DJs, Gold Cap. And it was just like tribal house, like so much goodness. And I was just by myself dancing my face off and just like no expectations. There's just like me and the music and about like 80 new friends from all over the world just dancing and grooving. And it's just like, that's what feels me the most is the music. So I have no idea where this is leading us, but this is about total surrender and to trust this process. So going back to the spider medicine, spider comes out, the spider really, when we think about and really webbing the future, with our creativity. And so what I'm really feeling right now is, it's really interesting because I'm almost at this point of like 4,000 friends on Instagram, and when I reached 3,000, that was very much a catalytic number. And so now it's 4 is about, things are about to flow and it's coming into action right now. And I'm really feeling that as an avid believer and kind of a student of numerology. I allow numbers to really move through me. And I know that's how Spirit talks to me a lot, is through numbers. As life is just this one huge like mathematical equation. So essentially what I'm really feeling with the spider medicine is like this medicine's asking us to really set the foundation as we build this queendom this year and to have patience, because I'm ready to release what no longer serves. The biggest message I got from Costa Rica is to stop playing small. And so for me to stop playing small, I need to allow myself to continue to be more vulnerable and authentic and real. And people lately on Instagram have been messaging me saying like, oh my gosh, you're so real and thank you for being who you are. And all of that is wonderful. And I really appreciate your reaching out and your love and support. But I feel more than ever like we have to be real and we have to be authentic. And we are called to be passionate right now. The spider is really about, like finding balance between the past and the future. And so I'm really allowing myself, even with this Lenten season, to forgive myself and to forgive others, and to not allow myself to be a victim anymore. Because when we victimize ourselves, we play small. And we have to remember that the universe is working for us, not against us. And things may not look the way, but I've been telling myself a lot lately, this or something better. And right now I'm weaving my own web as I reclaim my sovereignty. And essentially my life is my art. And so I am living my life as a meditation, the sacred ritual. The hashtag that I ask people to share when they purchase Shamanic Dream is to live in ceremony, because life is a ceremony. We are here and this is our time. The way we choose to live our lives is how we honor our divinity and how we are here to help serve humanity. So life is my sacred ritual. And my biggest ritual right now is balancing my masculine and feminine energy between my physical and my spiritual bodies, because we have to be able to balance these energies for us to recognize and realize heaven on earth. And for many years, I had this is something that I was writing about earlier today. I've had to really understand, oh my God. So I had to understand, that it's time for me to drop any belief that I have of being unworthy and any belief that I have of being not enough. Because I recognize that I am enough, I am worthy, and I am perfectly imperfect, and it's okay. I'm human, and I make mistakes, and I'm working hard every day to forgive myself because I've grown up being my toughest critic. And especially because of comparison, like the media, and especially like with social media, which is hilarious right now because I don't have a phone because it went swimming in a waterfall. And me not having this phone is like really liberating in a way because all I have is an iPad and a computer right now. And, again, trust the process. Like there's a reason why I don't have a phone, and it's because I'm allowing myself to disconnect and really integrate Costa Rica and what this trip is, because before I left, like months ago, Sahar asked me to be part of this retreat a few months ago, but I was in the middle of launching Shamanic Dream and I didn't want to overbook and, say yes and then couldn't say no. So it was a very spontaneous, like needed thing to do because again, I was like losing my fucking mind. But I needed to I understand that all of that was coming up for me during the eclipse portal was just like the purging and the releasing of what no longer serves. So as I'm in this hustle, I'm allowing myself to flow right now as I'm really working on some programs. And I'm just really refining it right now because I want to be able to serve what I can for you to the best of my ability. And I refuse to put out something half-assed because that's always how I've lived my life. I refused, for a long time, I refused to be in relationships because I always felt half-assed and I didn't want to have this man come in my life to help fill in a void that I knew that I needed to work through. So, it's for years, I really been working on healing myself. And now I'm really working on allowing myself to be open and to allowing myself to still be a gypsy at heart, but allowing myself to settle and just share my life with someone. And for me to do that, I'm embracing my passion because I know I'm a very passionate woman and it's been very hard for me to find a man who can handle a whole lot of woman, and, for me to be able to be who I am fully and authentically, I'm opening up space for someone who can appreciate me and honor me for who I am and for my journey and for the deep healing that I've known for years I've needed to work on. But I'm happy to say I'm finally at this point where I feel like I've done all the healing I've really needed to do that has prevented me from being my full authentic self. And I think a major part of me healing myself is even speaking about it right now and allowing that belief of not being enough and speaking about it. I'm relinquishing that control over me because I'm reclaiming my own personal control through my own sovereignty. And I've just been really witnessing a lot of past life stuff that's been coming up. And understanding holy shit, all of this stored junk in my DNA, it's ready to be cut through. That carbon crap is ready to be cut through, and I'm allowing myself to tap into my crystalline energy. So again, I have no idea where these times are gonna, what's gonna happen these next few months, these next few weeks. But as I continue to believe in myself and to believe in my mission and to believe in my business and my brand, believe in the process and to know that all of this is divinely guided and perfect. I know that it's what is, this or something better. And I know something better is coming than what I can even imagine. Because people ask me, how did you get here? And I always say, I have no idea how I got here because in all reality, I don't. All I do know is that I followed my heart. I listened to my intuition, and I didn't let the world outside me try to dictate or tell me how to live my life. So I really just invite you to really tap in and go deep within and allow that to guide you. We need to lead with heart right now, and we can't allow to lead with our mind, our head, and we have to be able to have this symbiotic relationship between our mind, body, and spirit. And we need to heal with the mind. We have to recognize that a lot of us, we're catching the collective unconscious right now, because what I really believe is that we're going through this massive spiritual warfare right now, where we're really being called to rely on faith and to walk by faith, not by sight. because everything that we're seeing in the world right now is a result of our past thoughts and our past beliefs. That's what the 3D world's all about. But as we tap into this 5D consciousness, this Christ consciousness, there's a reason why, you know, this like Star of David, which is like super associated with like Israel and like, you know, the birthplace of like Jesus. And you see a lot of that Star of David symbol, and that's also the same symbol as the heart chakra. And like there's a lot of correlations of the sacred geometry. There's no accidents to that. And so that Christ consciousness, to be the christened one is to be the anointed one. And Mary Magdalene's the one that anointed, you know, our brother Jesus here. And so I've been feeling a lot of her energy lately. And part of me sometimes feels like I am part of the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. And some people may think I'm crazy, but what I've been really seeing lately is the wounds of my past are highly associated and relative to what Mary Magdalene faced. It's like feeling of you know, prosecution for her sexuality and her sensuality, and the patriarch trying to stop her because, you know, they were pissed off that she's the one that found Jesus in the tomb, and it was a woman, you know, that was like his greatest teacher and his greatest, you know, sidekick, essentially. Like they were twin flame, like they were lovers, the twin flame lovers. And a lot of people, the patriarch doesn't want to admit it, but they were a strong power couple. And I've been told, you know, like with my flat feet from my shaman when I went to go see John of God, who I'm going to talking about that experience in a couple episodes down the line. But she was telling me, you know, do you have flat feet? And I said, yes. And she was telling me that it's because I walked alongside Jesus in a past life. And I really do believe that. And I think that's a lot of the stuff that I've been healing because, you know, I grew up Catholic, and for a long time I had a really hard time like relating to church. And I mean, I was kind of like forced to go to mass and stuff with my grandparents, and but like it never really associated with me. What stuck with me a lot was the fear and the dogma, and it like prevented me a lot from living like certain ways of my life. But in all reality, like the fear is protecting us from something up until we don't really need to be ruled by the fear anymore. And we have to honor that fear and just recognize that fear is just simply a call for love, and it's a false evidence appearing real. And, you know, as a student of A Course in Miracles, it's a lot of what I've been guided by. You know, anything real cannot be threatened, and anything unreal doesn't exist. And I'm at this point now where I've had to heal my belief about God and like how God is about, like, God doesn't want us to have this like, to be persecuted and to live in this like fear base, because we're always taught that God is love, but they love to put like all this like fear and loathing of God, like the wrath of God. And to me, it was just another need of control. And so lately I've just been really working on reclaiming my power back and to heal that karmic DNA coding from my ancestors and from past lives, and to recognize my own personal relationship with God as I reclaim my own divinity, and to find that oneness with God and not see God outside of me. So that's what I'm really focusing a lot during this Lenten season of these 40 days. And I'm doing my 40-day sadhana right now, prepping for Desert Hearts, which is this beautiful Southern California festival of house and techno and love. And my friend Shane and I, he's the head coordinator of the yoga, we went to Burning Man together, and on our, 36-hour drive back and forth, if not longer, we were talking about building this red tent to help with the healing of the feminine. And so I'm super excited to like announce that, I'm going to be one of the head medicine women of the festival. And for me to prep for that right now, like I'm really dedicated to my sadhana practice. Part of my Lenten thing that I'm doing is I'm cutting out sugar and breads and dairy and meat, because I'm working on having doing my candida flush as well as doing another gallstone flush right now. Because I just really want to be this clear, pure channel to help support the women that may be coming through my classes. I'm hosting 3 classes, and I'm super excited and I'm really honored, that I get to be able to share my medicine and to really help support the women that are coming through. But yeah, so this is about for me to be able to be a clear channel, and for me to be the highest and fullest expression of myself. I need to allow myself to release any shame or guilt or doubt or fear about my past and be gentle with myself, because I've been doing my best that I can based on my level of awareness. And this the goddess energy, I feel like, is so strong in the spider, and she has this number 8, like her body, she's got eight legs, and the 8 is a very strong goddess number. And the spider's reminding me of my infinite potential, and that there's no limits to our beauty and to our grace and to my soul. And to just really trust in this divine plan in my life right now. And all the work that I've done over the years, I feel like is finally paying off. I allowed myself to hibernate for a long time, to do my own deep healing. I sacrificed a lot to not live a life like all my other friends were doing. And I just allowed myself to be present and allowed myself to just really follow through with the guidance that I received back during a difficult LSD experience that I had 5 years ago. And what was super awesome is it was a full circle, because when I was at Envision, 2 of my sprays from Shamanic Dream, Grounded, which is for the root chakra, and Intuitive, which is the third eye. So Grounded is donated to the Zendo Project, and the Zendo Project offers psychedelic harm reductions at festivals to help create safe spaces for those who are having difficult trips. And the MAPS is the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies. And so they're working a lot with getting approved, like MDMA for couples therapy, as well as PTSD for the vets. They're working a lot with psilocybin to help with depression and paranoia and PTSD, as well as LSD to help with near-death patients, that are about to transition and have this fear of death. So essentially, there are 2 organizations I'm so extremely passionate about, because one, psychedelics saved my life, and for a long time I carried a lot of shame about it, because again, it was that fear or that dogma of not being pure, and I just carried a lot of shame about it, even though it was my medicine. And the shame that I carried was because of comparison. And I compared myself to a lot of the spiritual teachers that are the generation before me. And a lot of them are AA recovering alcoholics or cocaine addicts, but I've never done cocaine in my life. And, I never abused alcohol, because sometimes I blacked out, but to be an excessive, but that was because of my own pain and trying to shut down, but it was not even a handful of times. But otherwise, growing up European and being raised by an Italian grandfather, we had wine every night, and it wasn't taboo for us to drink. And so to me, even now, I don't go out to drink unless I'm celebrating. And if I'm drinking, it's tequila or some bomb craft beer. I mean, I'm also I'm part-time between Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, and San Diego. And San Diego is the craft beer capital. So I love my beer, but right now I'm doing this Candida flush, so I can't have the gluten. But yeah, so I mean, again, I had to, it wasn't until going to Burning Man sober this year that I realized to not be ashamed of my past with psychedelics and these medicines, and recognize and appreciate how they helped me. I think I was still going through a lot of the pain that came up for me from the medicines, and understanding that what was coming up and what was arising was for me to be able to heal it and transmute it and to honor it. And so, again, for me to stop playing small, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable and real and authentic about my use of psychedelics in the past, and being an ally of groups like MAPS and the Zendo Project, and really quitting this talk of drug abstinence, because people are still going to be taking these medicines, but we have to allow ourselves to be smart about it and have proper education so that we can prevent deep deep pain and deep harm. Because it took me, because I didn't have those resources, you know, when I had that difficult trip at Coachella, and it was like the scariest fucking experience of my life, because there was a lot of repressed pain, repressed inner child that came up, repression of love, because I felt like I was unworthy for so long, and I grew up depressed and really afraid of love. I was really afraid of love. I always wanted love, but I was afraid of it because it was something I couldn't control. And growing up a control freak and being that masculine energy, I didn't know what it was like to be receptive, and I felt like I needed to control and, you know, take on everything other than trusting and allowing. So that's what's really been coming up for me a lot lately, is to be more in the surrender and to be more receptive, and to understand that I'm not a victim of the world. And if anything, like, the world is a friendly place. It is here to support me. And everything I'm going through right now is part of some great divine plan. And I may not know what it looks like, but I know it's going to be beautiful if I continue to lead with my heart and stay true to myself, and to embrace all of my quirks and my imperfections and who I am. And so, yeah, right now, again, like, I'm allowing myself to really be vulnerable, because I want to see more vulnerability and more authenticity, and to help heal the shame. And so when I was in Costa Rica, I was at this waterfall near the festival, and my phone went swimming. And what was amazing was, like, okay, I just embraced it as it was. It's like, okay, the universe wants me to be present. And so part of me being present, you know, I just was looking at this waterfall and seeing this purification. And I haven't really been to a waterfall since I was at John of God 2 years before. And I never really had the time to integrate my experience at John of God, because I came home, I taught at Desert Hearts, and then I moved back home 3 weeks after coming back to help be my grandmother's caretaker. And it was a very intense experience for me at John of God. Intense, but in a beautiful way. And I might be talking about it next week, now that I think about it, because it's time for me to open up about it. And I'm also writing an article for Spirit Guides magazine about it, so check them out if you haven't. But yeah, so after my phone went swimming, you know, and this waterfall, and it was, to me, it was just like purification and fresh start, and it was just beautiful, and all these beautiful people from all over the world around us. Like, it felt like we're all at the watering hole, you know, we're all different, but we're all coming to, like, cool off, because it was hot as shit and so humid. And this desert rat is so used to dry heat and this, like, humid heat, and sleeping on the jungle floor and dancing and feeling like dehydrated. It was just like, it was just so refreshing to be around water. And water is just so healing for us. And it's so connected to our emotions and our sacral chakra. And to me, Costa Rica was all about healing my sacral chakra, because I've wanted to go since I was a young girl. Like, it was a bucket list since I was so small to go ziplining through the jungles of Costa Rica, and I did it, and it was so invigorating and so awesome. And hanging upside down, crossing over the jungle bed was just, like, absolutely insane. And of course, my GoPro died halfway through, but I'm pretty sure I got some footage of it. Maybe I'll share it with you if I can retrieve it. But yeah, so I just did deep sacral healing, you know, and allowing myself to embrace my femininity and tap into that Adi Shakti. And so after my phone went swimming, before my phone went swimming, I should start. I brought Doreen Virtue's goddess cards for the women to pull, and we had that as part of our opening ceremony. And Sahara saged everyone. I brought everyone a piece of selenite. And this goddess deck, which I've been, you know, passing around cards since Burning Man. So this was like one of my old decks, but now it's like infused with so much juju and love. And I, you know, and every woman that pulled a card, like, it was so in tune and so in alignment with where they were on their journey. And so the one that I pulled, hilariously enough, I pulled the Butterfly Maiden. And I'll read it to you what it talks about. And the theme is transformation. You're experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings. As you go through this period of change, it's natural for you to wonder if your future is safe. I'm here to assure you that you're part of nature's cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. The Satanama, as we call in Kundalini Yoga. To bring in your desired newness, you must first allow old parts of your life to fall away. These changes are to be celebrated, not feared. Give thanks for this shedding of the old. Embrace all of the lessons it brought, and then let it go. Be giddy with excitement for the newness of the gifts that are now being bestowed upon you, and let their magic surprise and delight you. So essentially it's saying, like, don't be concerned about endings as they're bringing in the new for you. Your prayers have been answered with this change. Let go of the old. Don't worry about these changes. They're truly for the best. And so the Butterfly Maiden is the Hopi Native American spirit who ensures that crops yield healthy and bountiful harvests. She's a springtime goddess who helps us escape from any cocoon situation that's trapping us or impeding our growth or joy. If you're feeling stuck, she's a wonderful goddess to call upon during the emerging process. She'll also guide you through life's transitions and will help you spread your wings. And that to me was like what Costa Rica was all about. Like I felt like I've been stuck in this cocoon, or like I've been a pot, like this plant in a pot that has been too small and I can't branch out my roots anymore. You know, I moved back to my hometown to take care of my grandmother, and I'm really ready for this next phase of my life to move, and you know, wherever I'm divinely guided to go, like I'm ready, and I'm ready to stop playing small, and I'm ready to spread my wings with my business and for you and to help you out. And so to me, Madam Butterfly has been my spirit guide for the past few weeks. And so after, you know, we went to Envision after the retreat, and what was so insane was that after my phone went swimming, there were 4 butterflies flying around me. 3 white ones, which to me was like the purity, represented to me the purity of the catalyst and the change that was coming in my life. And they were flying all around me. But then one in particular was this orange butterfly. And again, orange is the color of our sacral chakra. And that's the chakra I've been really working a lot on as I've been healing a lot of my inner child and dealing with some like sexual trauma that I had when I was a kid, where I had a hard time learning to trust men because I was like inappropriately touched by like an older man who was like a teacher. And, you know, just like, it was just not okay. And so what I've been doing is, you know, healing a lot of that and allowing myself to tap into my creativity. And for a long time, I shut off my sacral chakra because I was so ashamed and so fearful of being like my sexual expressive self. Like, to be honest, like for 27 years, like I was celibate because of fear and thinking that I was unworthy and not enough. And I played small. I allowed myself to gain 200 pounds because I felt like, oh, if I were big, then I wouldn't be hurt by a man again. Because like I said, that trauma that I had was really detrimental. And it was like right in the middle of puberty. And, you know, to have like a teacher tell me like, oh, my bra is crooked when I'm like 11 years old, and him massaging my shoulders and stuff. It was just like super painful for me. And I just like, it was a boundary that was crossed that I didn't know was appropriate or wasn't. And, you know, for so long, like I was quiet about it. And it wasn't until recently I told my parents about it, and Pops was pissed, but I've had to heal that. And for me, like I had a hard time like trusting men, and I had a lot of intimacy issues and fear of being touched because of that. So there was a lot of that trauma that I've been really working on healing and releasing. And even for me to speak about this openly right now is extremely vulnerable for me. But I can't allow myself to play small anymore. And I was sitting in my old like Catholic school church yesterday at Ash Wednesday, and it was coming up a lot for me. And so I need to reclaim my power back and to be honest about it and talk about it, because it was completely inappropriate. And for a long time, I didn't understand boundaries because that boundary was crossed a long time ago, and it really tarnished myself. And like this whole last year was a lot about boundaries for me and learning to say no as I'm stepping more into like my divinity, into my goddess self. And I grew up a people pleaser. So now it's like I've been really working on honoring myself and listening to what's right for me and stop trying to please everyone else, because I need to make sure that I feel it feels right. You know, the whole consent, understanding, and speaking and being truthful about it. So, so that was like really deep pain that I've been working through, that sacral energy. And, for a long time, like I've always been told, like my friend Egan, when I was in college, he was like, "You're the most passionate person I know." And I do have a lot of passion. And I mean, when I was applying for college, when I went to Chapman, they asked like, what was your favorite quote? And it was from Steve Pelvina, who's one of the I feel like the oldest life coaches there are out there. And so this quote that I wrote for my college application, it's reigned so true to my life even up until now. And it's passion and purpose go hand in hand. Go hand in hand. When you discover your purpose, you'll normally find it's something you're tremendously passionate about. And I've always been passionate about, the sacred reunion. And I've been studying about twin flames and indigo soul since I was like 14 years old. And I had my first tarot reading when I was 14. And I've been into astrology and, other religions. Like I remember I found this like folder that I made in the first grade, and I drew a yin and yang symbol and peace signs. And so clearly like all of that is kind of showing signs that this is the work that I'd be doing. I've been a coach since I was 15 years old. I started off as a volleyball coach when I was in high school till my old middle school. And so when I look back at my life and see how, like, where all these things were pointing to, and now that I'm, turning 28 and in the Saturn return and recognizing where I've been and, what interests me as a kid, like I'm really finding myself in alignment with my purpose. And so essentially, like I've been super passionate my whole life, and I know what I want, and because of like being passionate, I'm that's how I've been connected to my sacral chakra. But yeah, at the same time, like I've been very like aware of who I share my passion with, because I've been hurt and I've been misused by men time and time again. But I allow that to happen. It's like I can't blame anyone else but myself at the same time too, but I'm working on healing myself with that, honoring my journey and recognizing like I won't accept that anymore. Like I was abused by someone I thought was a friend, like verbally abused by them and psychologically abused by them, and it was super tormenting. And that was their way of quote unquote showing love, and it was so unhealthy, and it really fucked with my head for a long time. But I'm learning to forgive them and to forgive myself for allowing that to happen, and to just know that like I didn't deserve that, and to recognize that it's not okay what they did. But at the same time, like I'm not going to be holding it against them anymore, because I refuse to be drinking the poison. So essentially, like the unicorn that I am here, like I've always known what I've wanted, and I've always felt like an outsider, super disconnected. And it's like now, like that butterfly, the butterfly medicine that's been coming through, has been a lot about breaking free and like spreading your wings, and the idea of transformation. And, I think that's what drew me to like the house music and quote unquote EDM scene, was that was the place for all the freaks to hang out and all the people who didn't fit in and the misfits. And that was the first time I found God. That's where, like I found love. That's where it just resonated with my soul in such a way. That's like my community. And I'm so passionate about the music and so passionate about the movement of the unity and the community and, the full authentic expression of yourself, and conscious people who also like to party and finding that balance. I carried a lot of shame of that too. Like, I was going to festivals and I still carried shame and pushed away love because of substance abuse and, like feeling like it wasn't enough. And, I'm at a point now where like I've been going to the past few festivals completely sober, which has been great. But you know what? It's at the same time, it's like I'm not judging other people for if they decide to do it because they need the medicine and they're healing that's somehow or another, hopefully. So the butterfly message was all about, even with the Butterfly Maiden, you know, it's like really stay true to your soul and honor your sacred voice. And when you do that, the miracles are guaranteed because you're helping shift that perception from fear to love. And this, according to Native American culture, you know, the butterfly represents change and joy. And again, it's about me surrendering the plan and trusting the process, surrendering what no longer serves, surrendering any fears, and allowing the divine grace to lead me towards everlasting peace and joy and love. So that means I need to get out of my own way, but still listen to my inner guidance and connect to my intuition and allow myself to heal. Listen to my gut. And so that's why I've been really focused on doing this Candida flush and working on my gallstones so that I can have a better relationship with my gut, because while I've released about 55 pounds and I would like to get rid of my last 10. But my excess weight is all around my lower belly, and I know it's a lot from the cortisol and the sugar. And so I'm still in the final phases, you know, of healing my my sacral and solar plex chakras. And what's really interesting is that the weight that I am now was the weight that I was in middle school. And so that's what I'm seeing, is that like I've been shedding layers and layers and layers of the trauma from the ages before, but now like I'm diving in deep and healing the last of the trauma of that extra like 15 pounds that I gained from puberty. Like I remember when I started my menstrual cycle when I was like in the 6th grade on the 4th of July, essentially like that summer, like I gained like so much weight. And I just used to sit at home and play The Sims because it was always hot in the desert. And I lived in Desert Hot Springs, which is about 15 minutes away from Joshua Tree and about 30 minutes away from Palm Springs. And so like I was very alone all the time. And I came back that summer like thick at school. And then 9/11 happened. So there was like all of that trauma there. And then, so yeah, I've just been seeing this like unraveling of the past 5 years has been unraveling of trauma for it's been like 16 years since 9/11. So I've been working on 16 years of trauma and even more, you know, like still working on like the younger inner child trauma that was like pre-puberty. I've been having a lot of images when I was like 3 years old. I used to live essentially at the Children's Hospital in San Diego. My cousin, she was 2 years old when she passed away of leukemia and I was 3. And so every weekend I would spend a lot of time in the hospital with her because she was like my best friend. And we'd watch The Little Mermaid together and we loved Disney movies together. And so I lost my best friend at the age of 3. So I've been literally dealing with death since the age of 3. And I was always like different, like I said. And so I had a lot different grasp and understanding. Like to me, sometimes I feel like I've been processing things as an adult, even when I was a child. Like, you know, they say children know everything and like we're so tapped in and in tuned. And the way my thought patterns were, even as a young kid, was like bizarre now that I think of it. Like I wasn't challenged in schools a lot, so I just didn't give a shit for so long. And then that's when I acted out or whatever because it wasn't challenging, because I was learning about shit that I felt like didn't really matter. Like I wish I was learning more about life than about things and like math. Like I was really good at like geometry and stuff, that's why I feel like I'm so like connected to sacred geometry. But like other maths or like certain just things that I was learning, I just felt like it was so irrelevant. So I didn't like put a lot of energy or effort into it for a long time. Like I didn't take school seriously. It was just like an opportunity for me to like be obnoxious as fuck and act out. But yeah, so right now, like I'm in this very like interesting phase of like unraveling the past of what no longer serves and all that past pain, because it's just been repressed energy on my body. And my body is showing me the places that I need to really tap into and heal. But yeah, so essentially the butterfly tells us to stop sweating the small stuff and focus on the bigger picture. And when my phone was swimming, I was just like breathing. I was like, whatever, it's just a phone. It's replaceable. It's not like I lost my passport or anything. And so those 3 butterflies were flying around. And then all of a sudden, this like orange butterfly lands on my wrist and is drinking water from my Amazonite bracelet I got, like my Mantras and Miracles bracelet. And it's tuned into Sat Nam, like truth is your identity. And the throat chakra has been so strong for me lately. Like all of my injuries have been around my throat. Obviously, I'm a communicator. I'm communicating to you right now. I was in a neck brace for 4 months. What else? I've had like polyps on my vocal cords. Like everything's been around my throat. And when I was at Burning Man this past year, like my throat chakra bowl shattered at the temple. I'm ruled by the throat because I'm a Gemini again, the communicator, and Mercury. So that was like pretty bizarre that she was drinking this, or he was drinking this, like the water from my beads on my wrist for like 15 minutes. Just drinking the water on my wrist, and everyone around the waterfall was freaking out because this butterfly is literally sitting on my hand. And to me, that was so symbolic. It's just like, be patient, allow it to come back to you. Like, stop trying. The butterfly comes when you allow yourself to be in stillness, and you don't need to try to force it to come. Just allow it to come. And so I've been allowing even the messages of like my work to come and how I'm supposed to serve, because that's a huge part of my like exhaustion before I came to Costa Rica. It was just about like, I've been trying so hard to, really come up with packages and figure out my offerings in a way that I can help serve, because more than anything, I just want to serve. Like, I want to be of service, and I want to help serve you, and I want to help serve humanity the best way I can. But in all reality, I was fucking exhausted. Like, I was so tired. My soul was like trying to leave my body time and time again. And I was like, no, there's still work to be done. Like, I'm not ready to go yet. And that's like real talk right there. Especially during the inauguration. Like, the morning of the inauguration, I literally like felt like I was dying. Just like layers of shit was coming out. And oh my God, it was so painful. So, so this butterfly is drinking this water on my wrist, and I'm just like sitting there and just like being present and enjoying it. And then, this butterfly is very much reminder that like all these massive changes are coming forth in my journey, and to like embrace it all and to keep the faith alive and flow with grace. And, there's been so many twists and turns on this journey, and it hasn't looked the way that I wanted it to, because it's not supposed to be about me. This isn't about my ego leading the way. This is about tapping into my heart and like really understanding that like when I live with my heart and like guide with my heart, like it's the easiest thing for us to do. Like, we are love. It's our natural state of being. And so even though there's been a lot of ebbs and flows, it's been like worth it. And I'm evolving into like the best version of myself right now. And that's something that I've known I've needed to do for a while. And again, like, I held off on relationships a lot because I wanted to be the best version of myself, but I felt like I wanted to like figure it out on my own kind of thing, because that was me taking responsibility for my past actions. And so I'm here to reclaim my sovereignty and to take responsibility for my life. And like, I'm here to really welcome in the joy and the peace that are waiting for me to be witnessed and to be realized. And so after this butterfly was on my wrist for 15 minutes, it moved to the top of my head, and it was just chilling on my head for like a half hour. And I shit you not. And it reminded me, remember when you were like young and you had those like butterfly hair clips with like the springs on it? I found it at my grandma's sister's house. It was like my 89-year-old aunt at her house on Christmas. And it was like my butterfly hair clip that used to have the springs, because I've always been very connected to the butterfly medicine. And that's what it felt like, was this butterfly was sitting on my head. So I just felt it was again, that inner child healing that I really got from Costa Rica. And again, like, I knew that I had one more solo trip in me before it was time for me to settle down and to really be who I am, and to like step out of my comfort zone and step out of the spiritual closet, and to really come out into the world, because like I've been playing so small up until now, and I'm really allowing myself to just be present and to embrace who I am. And to like be okay with knowing that my journey hasn't looked like everyone else's, and to understand that it's not supposed to look like everyone else, and that we need to stop comparing ourselves to the people that we see on social media with where they are in their life or where they are in their business or where they are in their relationships, because everyone has their own journey. And that's what I love. Like, I call my mentorship program the Soulistic Journey, because I really want to help women embrace their journey and to help heal their traumatic wounds from the past, and really allow themselves to go through these, allow themselves to like give them permission to dive in deep so that they can cut through all the shit and build the foundation, a really strong foundation, so that they can build their queendom with grace and build the businesses that they know they're here to do. And I'm really excited to see like who signs up with me and who I'm here to help, and how I can be of service and to help really connect and to support my sisters and heal this like sacred reunion of the as we balance like the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us, because it's so crucial right now. So yeah, essentially, like, I had no idea where this episode was going to go, but I knew I was going to talk about a little bit about Costa Rica. And I really want you to take this time after this like really intense portal, because I know a lot of people are feeling very emotional, and a lot of people are feeling like they're just like purging a lot and like getting a lot of energetic upgrades. And it's just like, be kind to yourself with where you are on your journey, and do what you can to be the best version of you every day. And I really invite you to forgive yourself and forgive others right now. This is a massive time of atonement right now. And this is a time for us to empower ourselves and to stop allowing the poison of the past to bleed into our future and into our present moment, and recognize that like where you've been and your journey up into this point, like your story is going to help so many people more than you even know, but you just have to allow yourself to be vulnerable and authentic and real enough to express it. Like, I don't know if, this has inspired you in any way, or if this is, what you've gotten from this message, but feel free to reach out to me and let me know what if this episode has touched you in a way. This episode was just a total surrender, and I'm excited to be back in this flow. And there's a lot of women that are reaching out that are really vibing with this podcast. And I really thank you, ladies, for coming out and reaching out and wanting to be featured on this. And I'm still doing my best to integrate and to honor that boundary right now. Because I really want to anchor in love. I'm so ready to anchor in love. And I'm so ready to like release my fears, and I'm so ready to recognize my beauty and who I am. And I've done so much inner healing that like I know that it's time for me to like step out and to be who I am, and to allow love to come into my life, and to like hold that space for like my God man, my God king to come in. And I'm ready to like share my life, not just with you, but I'm ready to share my life with my beloved and create something so beautiful and extraordinary together. And yeah, this is like me, like, stop playing small. This is me releasing my shame of my past. This is me honoring my journey. This is me respecting the roots, but at the same time, like, this is me coming out in full emergence. And just to simply put, the bitch is back. And it feels so good to be back, because I finally feel like I'm back to my whole self again. And it's been like literally 5 years of me like working through like the depths of my ego, and like really the depths of my soul. Feeling that mermaid energy of like not being afraid of diving in deep. And I love going deep. Like I'm not into surface level conversation. Like, it drives me insane when like the small talk, because I just feel like it's a waste of time, and our time is so precious. Why not connect on like a deep, real, and authentic and vulnerable level? But if you want to comment about this episode, I invite you to really do so. And I just want to shout out to all of you who have supported Shamanic Dream up until this point, like to hear like how it's been the subtleness of the energy, yet bringing it into your meditation spaces and bring it into your baths and using it as part of your sacred ritual. Like, I'm so excited. I do want to announce, though, that Shamanic Dream is going to be limited edition. I have a few partnerships coming up, and I'm really excited to share with you, but they're not ready yet. So, there's a Shamanic Dream will be limited edition, and I'm excited to see how, this brand continues to unfold. If there's like anything you want to hear about on this episode, if there's anyone you think should be part of this episode, like, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you have any comments or anything, like, visit the website by clicking on the show links, or you can go to shamanessagadesa.guru, or you can go to sabrinariccio.com. They both go to it. I'm going to set up a new website just for the podcast. But it's only time will tell. And if you haven't subscribed to the tribe and to the family, I suggest you do, because I've got exciting announcements coming up. I'm working on an e-course right now, and I'm really excited about it. And again, this is me like stopping playing small, and to know that like I'm ready and worthy to share my medicine and to connect with you and to go out there and just seeing how this continues to unfold. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sovereign Goddess podcast. I'm so happy to be back. I'm hoping that this episode, you got something out of it. Again, I just allowed Spirit to lead this one. I didn't want to come with like an agenda, really. But the only thing I could say, and I just want to leave, is just honor the journey, trust the process, and please know, ladies, that vulnerability is so sexy. And we need you to be vulnerable, to be real, and to be authentic right now, because it's time. Like, this is the emergence. The divine feminine is awake, and she is rising. And here we go, ladies. Like, this is our time to shine. This is our time to support one another. This is our time to come together and recognize and know that all of this is divinely guided and it's perfect. And do what you can to, shine your love and your light to those who cross your path, because we're all doing the best that we can, and you have no idea what someone's been going through. So I just really allow yourself to honor them, honor yourself, honor your boundaries, recognize that the world outside of you is just, if there's pain, allow that to be an opportunity for you to smother it with your love and your empathy and your compassion, because love will save the day, but it starts with ourselves. So love yourselves, love one another, love Mother Gaia, bless your waters, and I'll be seeing you next week. Satnam, beautiful. Take care.